As a 10-year-old game, it shouldn't be surprising that several major things have changed or even been removed from Rocket League since 2015. In this video, I'm going to cover 9 of the most interesting changes while dispelling some myths and trying to explain the reasons behind the scenes. For the first 3 years of Rocket League, your progression through the experience point system was tied directly to your in-game score and performance. There was 1,000 points for the winners, 750 for the losers, and an extra 100 for MVP. But everything else was based on the mechanics and plays you made during the game. And it went way beyond the points that are given out these days. A first touch on kickoff was 10 points. A bicycle kick on the ball was another 10 points. If you hit the ball 3 consecutive times without it touching the ground, it was a juggle, worth 10 points. Aerial touches were also worth 10, and shots were 30 instead of the 10 they are now. The system itself was a simple one. Your XP was directly related to your unchangeable in-game title, as we were all on the same long journey to reach what was once the most prestigious title in the game, Rocketeer. But this all changed in 2018 with the progression update. With the release of the first Rocket Pass, in-game score now only played a small role, with things like finishing matches and playing consecutive games in casual lobbies giving XP bonuses. It's true that we now have points for just getting ball touches, but personally, it doesn't feel as satisfying as the old system. In July 2017, Psyonix introduced Hitbox Standardization, dividing their vehicles into 5 categories with the same dimensions and performance. While welcomed by a lot of the community at the time, in the years since, this update has achieved a mythical status, and often noted as the worst change Rocket League has ever made. Let me start by addressing real quotes I've seen in videos or comments about this topic. Before standardization, hitboxes were better matched to the visual model of their cars. In truth, it varied from car to car, because hitboxes are literally boxes, so unless your car is also a box, there's a good chance it's not going to match perfectly. Now, I do agree with the argument that Psyonix doesn't always pick the most logical hitbox to assign new cars, but I think it's important to note that some of the most popular cars in the game don't really match their hitboxes either, and people do fine with them. Yes, even the legendary Fennec isn't perfect. While standardization made adjustments that did ruin some people's favorite cars at the time, assigning classes where people could pick from several cars that perform exactly the same was designed to avoid pay-to-win scenarios and encourage variety in the game. It's just unfortunate it didn't work out as well as everyone hoped. Solo Standard was a competitive 3v3 playlist that was in the game from launch in 2015 until free-to-play in 2020. This mode was only able to be queued by ungrouped players. When you see recent posts on the Rocket League subreddit talking about Solo Standard, one might get the impression that this should have never been removed from the game. But are these claims based on reality? In a Psyonix response to one of these Solo Standard loving posts, community manager Devin noted that there were a lot of Reddit threads during the Solo Standard days that provided a different narrative. And going back through historical posts about the playlist myself, I was able to confirm this claim, finding an endless amount of memes, clips, and comments that do not fit the way Solo Standard is remembered by some vocal players today. One of the best historical comments I read said, "Solo Standard is the best because your teammates always have your back. Seriously, just turn around and the teammate will be driving right behind you." Yes, at least the subreddit was able to express their frustrations with a little bit of humor. Highly upvoted posts like "Solo Standard helped me cure my addiction to being happy," and "How Solo Standard team rotation actually happens," seems to suggest that the Reddit community were all in agreement about what Solo Standard was really like on a day-to-day basis. I would say there were a couple main reasons for Solo Standard's removal. The first was population. While Solo Standard made sense in 2015 when only a few playlists were available, as the game expanded, Solo Standard was kind of forgotten. The next reason basically comes down to what the gameplay was like, as well demonstrated in the Reddit post we've looked at. If people did queue, it was used as a warm-up or quick play. No one cared about their rank in the mode, and it showed. Toxicity was high, matchmaking was unbalanced, and the belief that it's Solo Standard, it doesn't matter, was prevalent. This was well enough documented that in Psyonix's announcement about its removal in 2020, they stated the change was due to listening to the community. In conclusion, posts praising Solo Standard or requesting its return are not based on experiences that most players had in the playlist. No, you didn't miss out on the fairest matches in the game. If you started after 2017, you might be happy you missed out on the non-standard map experiment, because for a short, painful period of time, these maps were part of regular competitive Rocket League playlists. But the pushback from the community was strong. The idea of having a map as an extra opponent to overcome did not go over well with both casual players and the pro scene. And the devs listened. Those maps were eventually removed from competitive and remade in standard form, while the non-standard ones have found a home in the Rumble playlist. While non-standard maps didn't completely go away, you might have missed out on a few sponsored maps that are likely gone forever. First, we have the Stranger Things partnership from October 2019. During this month-long event, the upside-down variant of Farmstead was added to all main Rocket League playlists, while players were able to earn Stranger Things-themed items. While they had 7 years to bring back the event, with Stranger Things now finally over, I think it's safe to say the map is dead as well. Next, we have the Gotham Knight version of Beckwith Park. This map was used for a comic book themed LTM called Gotham City Rumble. This first appeared in October 2021, followed by a couple more times in 2022, but it hasn't been seen since. For the final arena of this section, I wanted to point out something that wasn't removed, but instead, strangely, never added. In September 2018, Rocket League partnered with Hot Wheels to celebrate its 50th anniversary. There was some free Rocket League items, a 3-car DLC pack, and a new arena. But despite the patch notes saying it would be part of the casual playlist, it was never put in rotation. And there it sits today, available for private matches and free play, but never getting a chance to show itself off. It is suspected that this busy and colorful variant of Champions Field had performance issues, and for once, Psyonix actually figured this out before it was released. But regardless, I think we can all agree that a chance to play competitive matches in Rivals Arena is something we all missed out on. Over the last little while, I've had a ton of new viewers checking out the channel, so I just wanted to take the opportunity to say that if you are enjoying this type of Rocket League content, please subscribe. And while you're doing that, let's move on to number 5. In September 2016, crates were added to Rocket League. These cosmetic cases would drop randomly after games, but in order to receive their contents, you had to spend money. Keys, valued at about $1 each, would award you one of the items from the crate series based on the drop rate shown here. For a majority of their life, crates featured a slot machine-like animation, often making it seem like you almost got a certain item, when in reality what you were receiving had already been decided before the animation played. There were over 20 different crates released between 2016 and 2019. These were used to introduce a majority of the new car bodies, wheels, boosts, decals, and goal explosions into the game. But this all came to an end in December 2019, when crates became blueprints and the Epic item shop was added to Rocket League. Since we still see players asking for crates to come back and blaming Epic's greed on the changes, I wanted to reassure you that this wasn't their choice. Epic has lost several multi-million-dollar lawsuits due to the gambling mechanics found in both Rocket League and Fortnite, and as such, they were basically forced to remove the loot box system. But hey, at least we still had trading, right? This is a change that is still fresh in a lot of players' minds. It has been over 2 years since player-to-player trading was removed from Rocket League. This feature, which arrived at the same time as crates, spawned content creators, full-time traders, and created a market system based on supply and demand. The general consensus is that we lost trading in order to get Rocket Racing, but the reality of why this change happened is a little more complicated. While money is definitely at the forefront of these decisions, it's not just about selling items. Trade scams and account hacks have always been a big customer support headache for this game. On top of that, the introduction of cross-game items becomes a lot more complicated when one of those games is able to trade. Regardless, Epic knew how many people actually traded regularly, and went into the decision pretty confident in their path forward. As for the vocal Rocket League community on social media, well, the backlash was real, and many predicted the death of the game. But here we are, 2 years later, and the player base is the healthiest it's been in years. Now, if you are a player that started after this change, you did miss out though. Nothing was better than equipping your new friend or a teammate you meet in-game with some extra cosmetics from your inventory, or finding that great deal on a coveted item. And without that feature, the game has definitely lost some of its charm. Even I was surprised to find how many changes the post-goal replay camera has gone through. In the beginning, the camera used to zoom right in on the net, and it quickly became the meta for players to rush to the net after goals to try and appear in that camera. The wiggle goal celebration was born from that tradition, and forever immortalized in a popular wigtage made by a player named Harold Lewis. But in 2016, the replay camera changed, now zooming in on the goal scorer. Thinking back, the change makes sense, as the cosmetic system had just expanded with the introduction of crates. And what better way to get people excited about new items than showing them off? Players were a fan of the change too, as now they didn't have to rush to the net to celebrate their goal or flex their car setup. Fast forward to 2017, and goal explosion customization has been added to Rocket League. As such, Psyonix decided to once again adjust the replay camera. Now it would zoom in to show the goal explosion and then briefly show the goal scorer's car. This wasn't a popular change, with players complaining that they didn't need to see an explosion they had already watched. But it's still better than the system that was rolled out in 2020. When reviewing the previous replay changes, one could say they were logical, trying to show off cars and goal explosions, stuff that made the game money. But for the life of me, I can't figure out why the camera works the way it does now. Since free-to-play, the camera just zooms out to a wide shot after a goal, not really focusing on the goal explosion or the player. In fact, the only way to get a close-up of your car is to try and guess where the camera is and fly towards that location. So now when you see Reddit posts asking for a return of player-focused replays, or hear players talking about the OG replay cam, you'll understand just what you missed out on. In the beginning, Rocket League had a pretty typical ranking system, with Platinum being reserved for the top 100 players in each playlist. But with the beginning of Legacy Season 2 in 2016, they introduced a collection of ranks that were unique and a welcome change to most games' ranking methods. Each of the first 2 tiers ended with an elite rank, before transitioning to the next level. When you got to the blue ranks, each felt like its own thing. You weren't just Blue Star 2, you were a Shooting Star, which was better than a Rising Star, and not yet an All-Star. Personally, I was a fan of the ranks, with the only outlier being Super Champion, which many agreed was a terrible name. But sadly, after only 2 seasons, Psyonix decided to switch to the uninspired ranks we still use today. Grand Champion remained the top rank until free-to-play in 2020, when it was split into 3, given its own color, and superseded by a new top rank, Supersonic Legend. But when Rocket League added the Supersonic Legend rank for the top 0.1% of the player base, it actually took it from you. Yes, there was a time you could have easily had your own Supersonic Legend title. And probably a lot of you watching did have it before Psyonix committed this travesty. I say this as someone who has suffered this loss. This screenshot shows me receiving the title in 2019, and it's all I have to remember it by. Okay, I might be taking this a little too seriously, but when the 2018 Progression Update added new XP-related player titles, it included our first introduction to the term Supersonic Legend, and it could be obtained by any player just by reaching level 700. But when Psyonix was looking to name the new rank that would be added with the free-to-play update, it seems they decided to steal it from the XP title list, and in effect, from all of us. It was replaced by the title Legendary Nemesis. I've already talked about the Rocket League XP system a few times in this video, but for a full breakdown of the history of this weird feature, the XP hacks, the story of the first Rocketeer, and a timeline of how we got to the jumbled mess Rocket League XP is today, I recommend you check out the documentary I made on the topic, linked here. I hope you enjoyed my breakdown of some of the biggest changes and removals Rocket League has made over the years. For more content, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.